Yeah, so hi everyone. We are going to do a small session now that only 2 weeks are there for NEET SS. So before we go through this session at the outset itself, I'd like to tell you that this. Yeah, so there's no magic that you can perform in the last 2 weeks and get a stunning result or something. What you have done in the last 2 months, what you have done in the last 2 years obviously counts for the most. But yes, there might be something that you can take away from this session, and that if that can improve your preparation, then this session would be successful. In these last 2 weeks, which are essentially the most crucial 2 weeks of your preparation, right? And also, if you have a specific strategy based question, you can always put it in the comment box, right? So again, look at this. If you are going in to this exam as a all in attempt, like if you have kind of studied for 1 year or two, like for this exam, or you are giving this as a first attempt but you are considering this as your last attempt, you're giving it with that seriousness, or you're giving it as one of the attempts and you are kind of planning to again study very well for the upcoming INI or the upcoming NEET, right? So firstly, if you have already done a good chunk of preparation, if you are all in now, then don't drastically change your strategy for the last 2 weeks based on this video. You can modulate it, but essentially stick to your guns. That would give you confidence, because again, that would not make you feel that you are doing something new at the end, and then you even while going for the exam, you would not feel that you have kind of changed your track a little bit and you wouldn't know what would happen. That would not be there. You will go in with confidence when you stick with your plan, what you have prepared, and what you have thought you would do in the last 2 weeks, right? And also, when you made the plan, maybe a couple months back, you would have thought this through. You would have thought you would prepare like this, and at the end, this is what I would kind of do. So stick to it. That you might not remember now, but trust yourself, trust your older self that you would have thought it through and you have made this plan, right? If it's a first attempt, then yes, you can use this video as a kind of a basic blueprint, not exactly the same thing, but yeah, something you can use these videos to then plan your next 15 days. So firstly, remember that any exam, usually whoever I talk to or whoever my friends top the exam, or me myself, whenever I gave my exams, I planned that at least in the last 10 days or maximum 2 weeks, you do one revision at least, right? Sometimes you can go and try to do in the last 2 weeks 1.5 revision. That half basically means the even the most volatile of the volatile things that are there, you do that as well along with one proper revision, right? Or in the last ending days, you can have notes as well, right? So you studied for months, and you made your notes for these last 2 weeks. If that is there, that is the best. But obviously, that's easier said than done. Most of the times we would not have those notes for all subjects. Maybe a few subjects we might have, but not for all. So in those cases, just try to do whatever you have studied. Obviously, it would be distilled down to an extent, right? Do that revision and maybe a half a revision of extra things that is there. 1.5 revision would be ideal, or at least one revision, right? And then how to plan these revision, the last revision that I'm going to tell you. Apart from this revision, pyqs again, only focus on your NEET SS pyqs, right? That has happened in the last 3 to 4 years, right? That is enough. Don't go to your older NEET SS pyqs that you might have found in some weirdish pyq book, etc. Because truth be told, NEET SS pyqs are not as well collected as your, for instance, your INI-CET or NEET PG pyqs, right? So these are very much vague. A lot of times we have fake pyqs as well circulating around in some of the books. So don't go through them. Go through your our coaching recall videos that are there, because they are made just after the exam, right? So nobody's going to make fake videos just a few days after exam, because obviously everybody is going to see it, right? So do go through those videos. Those are the most authentic question videos. Make just the question and the answer, that's it. You can't, you have no time. And even if you have made them before these last 2 weeks, don't go through those bulky notes, right? Just see the question, the answer, the options. That is it, because you have only that much time, because you have to do the subjects as well, right? You have to do your main core content as well. So pyqs as well as your one cycle of revision. So how do you plan this revision? So you can use what is called as weighted scoring. to kind of give every subject or a subtopic, maybe don't break it down too much, but let's take every subject and give that a subject a score based on two things. One is the volatility or the difficulty that you feel, and the second is the weightage in the exam. For instance, if you find cardiology to have a very good weightage obviously, and to be very difficult, that goes on to your day -1, that is the last day before the exam, right? If for instance you find something like endocrinology, which is obviously having a high weightage, but you find it very easy, for instance, then you can keep it a little bit, like maybe 10 days before the exam. If you find rheumatology very very easy, but this time the weightage was more, but maybe sometimes the weightage might not be there, then you can start off this last cycle of revision with rheumatology, like that. So you give this particular weighted scoring to each subject, and whichever is getting the highest score, right? So maybe X is like volatility and Y is like, weightage, and you kind of multiply it, and what score you get, whichever has the highest, that you would put last. That is what you would read just before the exam. And the subjects which are getting the least, that you would read at the beginning itself, that is on day -14 or day -13, something like that, right? So that is how you would plan, with the low score start with that, and the high score in the last 1 to 2 days. And also remember, inside the day itself, for example, tomorrow you have planned to read rheumatology, right? So don't start with something like immunology, right? Immunology, most of the times there might not be a question. At the same time, that is very very volatile. At the same time, that triggers, you would feel anxious as well. So those topics, keep them towards the end of the day. Or suppose you have broken down your day into 4 hours of CTD, vasculitis, immunology, vasculitis, arthritis, suppose. So you keep the most important, notes or most important topics at the beginning, so that you finish it off, right? Sometimes what happens is you might finish off your unimportant topics and you leave out your important topics, and your day is over. So every day you have to use this pyramid model, where you start off with the most important things, and at the bottom, that is the last part of the day, you keep the lesser important things, right? So that is how you can again ensure that you are revising what has been asked before, what is important, what what has a high weightage in your previous year questions, etc., etc., and also what is volatile. So inside this as well, inside your day as well, you have to plan your day like that, so that even if you're leaving out something because your day is over, which you have allocated to that subject, that will be the least priority, topics, right? So coming to videos, so this might be kind of weird to look at, but this is something that worked for me, which I never believed in, right? So what happened in my time was just kind of similar to what is happening now. That time, initially there was NEET SS, and then there was INSS, right? So in that gap, I was not feeling the need to study, and because I'd got a decent rank and I already got my branch of choice, and I wasn't able to study, right? But just around 10 to 12 days or maybe 15 days before the exam, I suddenly got an urge to maybe give a last shot. But yet I did not have that very good energy to study. So what I was doing is I was doing videos recurrently. I did almost 3 times the same videos again and again, and that kind of indirectly what it made sure was that I did not do any silly mistakes, because whatever we teach you in the videos, suppose whatever topic we take, we have only 1 hour to cover that, or maybe 2 hours to cover a particular topic, depending on the topic, obviously. But in that, there won't be any superfluous, abnormal, weird facts that are there. So those facts are essentially the most important fact. So that is what I did. At the same time, this is not recommended for those who are giving this as an all-in attempt, because obviously you already have done your revisions, you already have your notes, and that is most important. But if somebody is giving this as a first attempt, somebody is giving this almost like just passed out and not read much, and now he or she has only 15 days to properly give the best possible thing that can happen, then you can definitely do this, because possibly you might have seen videos before, or even if you did not see, videos are something that kind of are easier to go through, right? You can't do a final cycle of revision of your books at this point unless you have done them before, right? So for those who are giving this as maybe you got a rank in INSS and you are feeling lazy and you want to do something in the last 15 days to get a best possible thing, then you can do this. But if you're giving a proper last final attempt, then I would not suggest you to go through videos. Then you definitely revise your notes or whatever your material is recurrently, at least once in the last 15 days. Now, coming to the last day, you have to do your PYQs again, only question and answer, because there are repeats to an extent and you do not have to get them wrong, right? So again, do not, if you have a bulky PYQ notes which would take 2 3 hours, that doesn't help, because already you have some things to do on your last day. Apart from what I am telling you, yourself would have some saved PDF, some saved images in your group or something, right? Those you have to do, plus you have to do PYQs, plus you have to do again some test errors possibly. Again, if you have a list of 100 test errors and 100 questions doesn't work, you have to distill it down, spend maybe 2 hours maximum on that, 2 hours, maybe 1 2 hours on your PYQs, and rest of it would be your revision as well as your last minute whatever things you have saved, right? Tables also same, very very selected, just 1 to 2 hours selected tables, or maximum 3 hours of selected tables across all the subjects. Sleep optimization, I cannot stress this enough. I know it's very difficult to plan sleep, and there's always anxiety, and there's difficulty sleeping in these last 2 days, but last 2 3 days, but yeah, you have to try to plan for it to some extent in whatever way, and just reinforcing the fact that that is very very important, right? So again, this is something that I see, especially +4 -1 or +1 -1/4, whatever. Please do not leave questions, please do not leave questions. Don't even leave one question. It is simple maths that if you have some 200 questions and you put B option in all, then how many would you get, right? So you get 50 correct, and 50 into 4, you get 200 marks, and the rest 150 are wrong, so you get -150, and it is a total of +50, right? It is simple maths that even if there are any number of questions, obviously if there are 5 questions it can go wrong anyway, but why are you going and thinking that you will be unlucky, right? So by default, if you are marking anything in a +4 -1 setting, you are going to get a positive only. This doesn't work in a +3 -1 setting, because there this comes out to be 0. But in a +4 -1 setting, the default result when you randomly mark anything according to mathematical probability is a positive, right? So do not leave any questions, attempt all questions. I think it's 50 again. This time also there'll be 4 sets of 50 possibly, so or attempt all 200 questions, or I mean, sorry, it's 150 questions, right? 3 sets of 150 questions, so attempt all 150 questions. Again, final days, do not go in as thinking that this is a do or die exam that only increases stress. Especially at this age, we know that there's a little bit more stress than what we have in our, say, NEET UG or NEET PG. Is a little bit more stress because at this age we have a lot of things to take care of. So because of that, always think that you have an INSS every 6 months, you have a NEET SS every, something that might come again after 8 10 months. So do not take so much pressure, especially in the last 1 to 2 days. Always tell yourselves it's not a do or die, because see, when do we tell that it's a do or die? It's when you want a motivation or a push, right? Obviously in the last 1 to 2 days you have enough push, right? So don't tell yourself that, just tell yourself that we have multiple opportunities, I'm going to give this with as cool ahead as possible, right? So with that, I think let's do this. Let me not take more time of yours at this juncture. I'll see some doubts if you have. And yeah, even if you don't know anything, also attempt the question. Even if you don't know some percentage, some number, some gene, you don't know anything, put some option there, because I've simply told you mathematically there is a probability of you getting a positive more than you going into negative. Now obviously you can get, if you have a bad luck on that day, you can get more negatives, right? But sometimes what happens is, uh, we remember the negatives that we did, like we remember the guesses and the negatives that we got. But at the same time, if you scrutinize it, there will be some guesses that you get positive as well. And obviously when you get that guess positive, it's +4, and if you get the guess as negative, it's -1. So if it was +3 -1, I don't usually recommend this. I would say maybe you can think a little bit, But yeah, if it is a plus 4 minus 1, 100% attempt all questions. That is the best, shot that you can give at your exam. What to revise, what to read, what not to read, I think that is very subject specific. I think if you're asking me for, just generically, the things that are must read are your previously asked questions, obviously, and if you have, the next layer would be the previously asked topics. And then I think, see, whatever is being asked in your INSS general medicine part or your NEET SS, uh, NEET SS previous year questions, these are all the important topics, and that is one layer that you can use to read. Apart from that, see, it's very difficult to kind of tell generally across subjects what is important to read. So can we watch video at this point of time of topics which is important and we are lacking? 100% you can watch videos. There is this, kind of fear that, matlab, at this time, why am I going into watching a video? Don't think about that. A video of a particular topic will be of maximum 2 hours, right? So 2 hours making it to 1.5x, and you'll be done with in 1.5 hour or so. Trust me, those questions, if they come, that you would never forget also, because you're doing it in the last days and you're watching a video, right? So you would definitely not forget those core topics. So yeah, don't have this fear that at this time should I watch a video, should I watch a video or not. However, this strategy of using videos, only videos at through these 15 days, that is to be done only for those people who haven't, consolidated their material, who don't have a specific notes that they have to revise in these last 15 days. Only those people, they can use only videos also, they can use only videos also. Don't be scared of that. That is much better than, randomly reading some topics here and there for the last 15 days. If you have a notes, if you have a consolidated material that you have to revise, definitely go stick to that only. But if you do not have any such thing, then you can do repeated revisions, and don't put at 1x and, like, just relax and see the videos. Please be very attentive. Try to do it at 1.5x, if possible 2x of topics which are strong, and do those if possible. I'm not really sure of the exact hours that are there in our video bank, but yeah, you can even try to do 2 cycles in these last 2 weeks. Yeah, allied session as well. So I was telling you, pyqs, allied, these are very high yield things, because allied also are made from previous year questions. They are made from old NEET SS questions as well, old NEET SS. And we go through that. Whenever we make an allied, we go through the whole chapter, and in that, whatever is the most, we pluck things which are the most important, because we've done, whatever, like super speciality in that, so we know what the faculty are usually thinking. We have attended rounds, we usually see what the faculty are asking in those areas. We look at tables, we look at flowcharts. So allied questions as well as discussions are based on these very important topics. Another important thing that I would like to address is the Harrison flowcharts and tables. Don't read them as if questions are going to come from them only. It's not going to happen like that. Obviously, the important things will be there inside that, because even if you take any textbook, any, any subject textbook in the world, whatever is important will be made into a table or an image and put there. That doesn't mean the examiner is going through only them and then, putting the question. They are important, obviously, but it's not like the question will come only from them. Next NEET SS, I'm not sure actually when it will be. I think probably in, August or September is what my kind of informed guess is. But yeah, nobody's sure. And how to, approach the next NEET SS, we'll obviously do sessions after this NEET SS. Immediately after the NEET SS, we'll do a session. Are the GT marks exact simulation? Not really. I don't think it's an exact simulation, but what I have seen is our DocTutorials GT exams are quite similar. At least they're not very way above the level of the NEET SS pattern. So the difficulty level would be very similar. Uh, but yeah, score again, it depends on the GT. Some GT we have which are a little bit difficult. Some GT you may, find students that may have not given, or some GTs everybody gives. It's very variable, so don't judge yourself very strongly on GTs, because by now you would know, you would have given your PG exams also, you would have seen students who weren't doing very well in the GTs get a very good NEET PG rank, or somebody who was doing very well in GTs not getting as good a NEET PG rank, right? So it's not so parallel. Don't, kind of beat yourself upon it so much. Guide a little in short for upcoming NEET SS. That is what we've been doing. I think if you're talking about the next NEET SS, then we'll do it just after the NEET SS. Definitely we'll do. And if really, if you're feeling stressed about it, you can definitely ping me on WhatsApp from our group. What about MCQ and GT practice? GT, I feel, I think now maybe you can give your last GT. Don't, see, things like these happen. If you by chance you have a bad day and you get a, up and down marks in your GT in the last few days, then that dents your confidence. Because again, last revision itself can change a lot of things, right? So maybe you can give a GT now, your last GT, and then last 2 weeks, I would suggest not to give much GTs. QBank is a different thing. If you're someone who does MCQ practice, read something, does MCQ practice, then yes, you can give time for MCQ practice. But yeah, it should be much, much lesser compared to your revision time. How to review GT wrong questions? I think you should have had used bookmarks and kind of tried to filter down, that is revise those bookmarks and remove the bookmarks of whatever you did wrong and revised as well, right? So that at this point, I think it you don't have enough time to review wrong questions, like do the Q bank and then do the reviews as well. How much time should we spend in reviewing a GT? Again, it depends. I don't think you should give so much time at this point of time. At this point of time, your focus should be on revision, because what is more important is trying to cover the breadth of everything. That is more important than, trying to read specific topics. Minimum hours to study. I mean, minimum hours. I mean, I don't know if you're working, it would be, maybe it depends on your working hours. Some people are working and studying, etc. So there's no minimum. If you have studied a lot before, there are some people who might do study 4 hours and get a very good rank as well. So it all depends. People clear exams in internship as well. So there's no minimum as such. Yeah, when the name is procrastinator, and he or she is asking how to prepare for the next exam. So I think we'll definitely do a session after this exam, and they can he or she can definitely contact me on WhatsApp on our group. If only notes and lectures are done, no time to do Q bank, it's definitely okay. No qualms in that. That is what is recommended. Like lectures, in the sense video lectures might be difficult, but yeah, if only notes you can revise them, that is great. I think that's it. If anybody has any, you know, doubts, they can definitely get onto our group, and I am there in that group as well. You can definitely text me.